just the Zoom. Okay. I don't know if this is starting yet. It still says it's setting up on.
Yeah, it says we're live on Facebook.
Well, if we're live, that's neat.
I think we're live.
All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome. If you caught the beginnings of this, you'll know that we're learning. We're learning as we go. I am here with Dr. Rachel Haug, a licensed psychologist, and we're going to have a little chat today about yoga and therapy and how the two can really benefit each other. Maybe when you might seek a therapist versus hit your yoga mat. So Rachel, if you want to just take a few moments to kind of describe who you are, you know, the people that you really help, just a little bit about you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. We'll get it figured out as technology. I'm very excited that you and I are connecting again. And interestingly, though our paths kind of, what's the word I want? Not whatever, but they came back together. So just go with my visual here because I can't think of the word I want. Because we're now serving very similar individuals for similar reasons. So I have my PhD in counseling psychology, and I just recently started my own online therapy practice. And this is something that was born and bred out of COVID, but it is something that I am going to continue with the online therapy, even after COVID ideally ends sometime soon. Because I specialize in stress and anxiety management for high functioning and high achieving women. So those are individuals who are stereotypically incredibly busy, that they don't even have a half hour to commute to an office and then do an hour appointment and then traffic in 40, so we're just going to do online so that we actually can make sure that therapy can fit relatively easily into a lifestyle. I really value working with these high achieving, overachieving. Some women on my caseload currently are self-identified control freaks. Some identify as type A, like however you want to call it. Like that's
if you
totally
guys are one of those people, drop it in the comments, like raise your hand.
I mean, I don't know. Ugh. I know a lot of people like that, those of us who go to graduate school. So been there, done that. And now I'm on the other side trying to assist others with it. And not surprisingly, why you and I are talking is that therapy, meditation, gratitude, all of that goes so well, and I do a lot of that recommendation in the therapy work for these women in particular. And by the way, I do see men as just stereotypically women who find me and work with me. Is like self-care isn't a thing, and it's like, all right, step one, like let's do some self-care here. And yoga and meditation, gratitude, like I already said, is as far as how it can moving your body, calming anxious thoughts, living in the present, like so many amazing benefits, as you know, and you even have more expertise than I do. Just, yeah, we had to get together and talk.
It was only a matter of time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, absolutely. It's been, and it's interesting to me because some of the people who I work with have resistance or hesitancies, I suppose would be a nicer way of putting it, perhaps, to yoga and the benefits of yoga. And I think it's kind of viewed still in society as, flu, hippy dippy, like, you know what I mean? Like, very hard to understand. I think the benefits of it, mindfulness is really hard to measure the way that we measure change and things like that scientifically, right? But it's like, it's my opinion that's like counseling is also really hard to measure, and it's hard. So there's a stigma, I think, that both you and your profession and me and mine, they're different, but they still both have these automatic assumptions made about them.
And I think there's a large group of people that's like, I do yoga, I don't need therapy or counseling. And then you have the opposite of like, I need counseling, I don't need yoga.
Absolutely.
Like I found my answer and I'm not looking anywhere else for it, which I think is just it's so interesting that we as humans like kind of stake our claim.
Yeah.
You know, instead of maybe trying a bunch of different things to help, we go like all in on one thing that may or may not. I mean, it'll help, but if it'll help and like, you know, if you're doing counseling all the time, maybe adding yoga will give your body that stress release that it needs. Because feel free to correct me if you do this differently or see things differently, but counseling helps work through all the stuff going on in your mind, right? So does meditation and mindfulness. But yoga, I think, helps your body process that. We are beings living in physical bodies, and our bodies hold tension and trauma and it stores it. And yes, we can work through all that mentally, but we still have to get that out in our bodies. And for me, yoga is that like tactile bodily element of moving through all the mental stuff.
For sure. I couldn't agree more. There is, I'm getting weird feedback. I don't know what to do about that. I don't know if you're hearing it, but anyway. There's more and more research coming out about trauma in particular being stored in the body. There's a really awesome book called The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, and highly recommended. It's old at this point. I don't remember what year, but I think it's like 15-ish years old. Don't quote me. I don't remember. But it talks about how like what happens to the brain, what happens to the body when we go through a traumatic experience. And it's just really eye-opening. And what happens actually, I don't identify myself as a trauma specialist, but I do have trauma training. And so I'm fascinated by the research and everything that comes out when it's more somatic, right? So physical. And there's more and more types of therapy, if you will, protocols, theories, however you want to think about that, that are becoming more and more physically active in session. So there's one I'm thinking of that's called somatic experiencing. And the little bit I know, which is not much, is that you actually are physically moving your body while processing this traumatic memory, as opposed to just traditional talk therapy. And there is no one size fits all. So like kudos to people if they really feel like, well, I do yoga, you know, put their stake, like you were saying. I do yoga. I don't need therapy. You very well might be right. Like, I am so proud of you for having an activity that you are taking care of yourself and that's working for you, right? Or vice versa. Same thing with therapy or same thing with nutrition, or like, I don't totally care. And if you would ever find yourself at a point in time where it's not working as well as it maybe used to, or maybe there's situational stressors that are coming up, like AKA COVID and homeschooling and working like furlough, where all of a sudden that yoga class either isn't available to you or it is not serving the way it used to serve you. I use the analogy of like a water bottle, which I need more water, but it's not a criticism of you or that activity. It's that because there's so much other crap going on right now, you're overflowing. We all have a finite amount of time, energy, resources, and I mean that cognitive resources, emotional energy, physical energy, that if we're being taxed, with a lot of us have been 2020, that just yoga or just therapy or just nutrition may actually not have been serving. But I think yoga is, or any exercise, quite frankly, for that matter, underappreciated as far as how it can process trauma in particular, but even help you with depression and anxiety. And we're getting there, but I think it's still underappreciated, underrespected. That's just my opinion. And the reason I think that is
I fully agree. As a for sure biased yoga teacher, yes.
Well, and the reason I think that is because the reality is that words fall short sometimes. And even to be able to speak, we need to have some level of conscious awareness, and that isn't always there, right? In which case, let's move our body.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's so much I could say, and it's
for it. I just spoke for a long time.
No, I just like there's like so many things, right, that we could talk about and so many ways we could spin this. One thing from my experience is having taught yoga with a wide range of students. There are some students who will come to view their teacher, I'm not saying me, but their yoga teacher, almost as their therapist, and can ask questions outside the realm of expertise of a yoga teacher, right? Because we get into kind of the murky middle waters of mindfulness and meditation and self-reflection, which, veers into the realm of therapy and learning more about yourself. And so I guess that would be my question to you, right, is as a student, as a human being, how do you know, or when would you recommend you transition into, like, maybe I need to go talk to a professional as opposed to like just my friends and my family or my coaches or my teachers, whatever? Like, where's that distinction?
Phenomenal question. I think I'm happy you asked, and I wish it would be like, oh, simple, like right there. That it's gray, right? So like you said yourself, it's kind of like the murky middle or muddy middle, whatever you said, it's not black and white as much as maybe we would like it to be. And I think kind of what we were talking about before with the stigma, maybe yoga's okay because that's what they do for exercise, right? So like that's just, but like, whoa, you need to go talk to somebody. Like that has such a negative connotation still to this day. We've come a really long way. But it still is a negative connotation that you have to be crazy to see a counselor or like see things and hear things that aren't really there. Like, okay, that's one diagnosis. Like just there's the book I could show you is like Bible Dig if you're familiar with the Bible. So like, but even that, I mean, the clientele that I work with, a lot of what we talk about is more situational, whether that is changes in a relationship dynamic because now they're empty nesters and they have to, couples needing to reorient, kids being born, trying to get pregnant, grief and loss, death of loved ones, like work stressors. Like this is your everyday average sort of stress. And I'm biased, I know that. I think everybody could benefit from having a therapist, probably like you think everybody could benefit from having yoga, which I also agree with. But I'd say that so back to your question, I'd say that if you're finding yourself stuck in a pattern, and I'm going to say that really generally, if that's how you relate to others, maybe you have a tumultuous romantic relationship and you just can't seem to keep a romantic partner, or maybe you can't hold a job, or maybe something like that just like, what the heck, man, like there's something about me or how I'm perceiving the world or something like that. I think that would be a good point to get a therapist. If you are really interested in learning more about yourself, a lot of that does come from insight work, awareness work. It's a lot of more, it's talk therapy as opposed to like action. So that's actually my favorite type is, well, I don't know, how do you feel about that? Like that's such a stare. How do you feel about that? Like it's a stereotypical question, right? But it's like, it's not for me to judge or tell you, how does that feel? Where do you feel that in your body? What thoughts come up for you? What fears come up for you? What hopes come up? All the feelings, all of that is like, who am I? Who do I want to be? What are my values? What do I want to do with my time here? That I think perhaps you could talk about with your yoga teacher. And they also may be like, I need to go home and cook dinner, not spend an hour with you after every class.
I was going to say, because we talk about that in yoga, right? Like, how does this feel in your body? I'm not telling you what to feel. Here are some things that you may be feeling, whether it's emotional or physical, like explore it. But it's up to you as an individual on your mat going through your practice. That is your journey. You can lay on the floor and take a nap, or you can be on that floor and be completely immersed and mindful, right? Like, that's your inner work. And I kind of see this now as we're talking, and it's kind of clearing a little bit. But to me, yoga is the space where you can sit and wrestle with those questions on your own, and then go to a therapist for that expert advice, that expert opinion of like, here's what I'm noticing.
Yeah.
And you then you're starting with an awareness. You're starting almost at like level 3 instead of level 1. Like, you already know yourself, your body, your patterns, thought patterns, habits, whatever, and can work on maybe deconstructing them instead of being like, oh, I have to start now learning my patterns and my habits and what have you.
I mean, both and, I think, because not everybody who goes to yoga is as mindful or aware, and maybe they're going to yoga to increase their ability, right? In which case, maybe it will come to them through yoga, but then if that doesn't happen for them for whatever reason, maybe therapy could be an avenue. Maybe they are what I call an external processor, where they are more verbal than they are physical and somatic. But I think you're making a really great point that it's like, wow, through this education that I've learned about myself from my yoga practices, I'm starting at level 3 with my therapist. Like, here are all the things I know about myself, and I want to get here. I have no idea how to do that. Come in, let's talk about it. Let's do some development and game plan. And the other thing is that when we're with ourselves all the time, awareness can happen, but it's a lot harder to challenge ourselves or have a completely objective view. So one of my favorite roles to play in counseling is devil's advocate. And I am not doing it to like just make people crabby or impose my beliefs on like, well, actually, have you thought about it? Like, because it's not my life. I don't have to fall asleep next to your partner at night. I don't have to quit my job. I don't have, like, these are your decisions. The only reason that I like to play that role is to see what comes up for you for a reaction, to make sure that you have kind of thought about this from all of the sides, instead of just like, no, this is how I do things because this is how Rachel does them and this is what we're doing. Are there other alternatives? Have we thought about this all the way through? And the only reason to do this is because my view is that you come in for counseling for a different experience. You get you all the time. You even maybe get your mom and your friends all the time, whether or not you want their opinion.
Yes.
So it's just another opinion, professional opinion. It's not so much advice as far as do this. But it is more, if I held up a mirror and be like, okay, this is what I get from you when you talk to me about that. I can tell you're excited about X, Y, and Z, and I can tell you're really faking it over here. That's so much fun. It's just, I know I'm biased, but yeah.
To me, it's almost like you're calling the bullshit. Like, we can bullshit and like hide behind excuses, but you don't have any reason to like accept those excuses. You know, like, it's not going to benefit you to be like, oh yeah, that's okay.
I mean, I'm not going to be an asshole about it, but like, and that's also, I want to do a disclaimer, that's my style. There are plenty of therapists who are more your traditional Freud, in that they just sit back and they listen and they take notes. I will fall asleep on you. And that's not because I'm bored. Well, it is. But it's not because of you. It's because I just can't. I mean, look at me. I use my hands, and so I ask a lot of questions. And So I think knowing your fit and what type of therapist you want to be working with, for what reason, I highly encourage the use of a free phone consult or even a free video consult, because then you're only out time instead of filling out all the paperwork and then billing your insurance and paying for somebody that you never want to see again. Of course, I can't guarantee that with the phone consult will be a great fit, but it's a better idea of maybe this will work or definitely not. Yeah, sorry, I got on a tangent. What was your last question?
No, but I think that just makes a really good point, because it's kind of the same way with yoga teachers, right? You have some yoga teachers that you're like, you are my teacher. You're like hitting home every time, and other teachers you're like smooth fast, like not for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's the same thing. Like, if you've had an experience with a therapist and it wasn't for you, I would say don't rule it out, right? Try a couple, especially now with telehealth and like video therapy. Like, you have access to people that you don't have to be physically close to, right? Like, find a therapist from anywhere.
Totally. Yeah. The only limit to the anywhere would be our licensing boards are per state. But a lot of therapists carry more than one state licensure. So just know that there are some limits, but even like if you live in Rochester, but your therapist lives up in Duluth, like that's cool. You're both in Minnesota and it works, and like do your telehealth thing and scheduling works. And as long as you have internet, you're golden. But yeah, so you were talking about bullshit is like, I'm not a human lie detector. I'm not trained. I don't want that pressure. I'm not a detective, right? And if you want to lie to me or anybody, like, I won't know the difference, so it won't harm me any. But like, is that really how you want to spend your time, how you want to spend your money, even if it's like a copay for a deductible, right? I'm guessing not. However, I also recognize that especially for people who have never been in therapy before, it takes time to build trust with you're talking to a complete stranger about all of this crap that you probably have gone through, or it's a direct result of crap that you've gone through that you never asked for, you didn't sign up for, and here you are needing to deal with the ramifications. That's like, the last thing I want to do is experience it, let alone talk about it. So thanks, but no thanks. Like, I get that, right? I was a human before I was a therapist. So like,
I love that.
Yeah, I totally can respect that and appreciate that it takes time. And with any sort of yoga practice, counseling, probably any sort of exercise regimen, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. Yeah.
Love that. Oh, well, I want to be respectful of time because I feel like we could sit and talk forever. But I think so I'm kind of, again, like realizing all of yoga, therapy, mindfulness, meditation, exercise, these are all different tools for self-care and wellness, right? So you have a toolbox and you can dig through and find what tool you need for a specific job, right? So maybe you rely on your hammer, your therapist, like the majority of the time, but sometimes you need that screwdriver and you need a yoga class, or vice versa. So I definitely see like there's just so much like fluidity and like validity in whatever modality you choose. Explore, right? If you guys have never taken a yoga class, try it. Freaking YouTube, try a couple teachers, find some online classes. I'd say yoga is far less restrictive in like location as therapists. Like, I'm not licensed in a state. I'm a yoga teacher.
Yep,
I'm
absolutely
certified through like a national board. So I have students from all over the country and the world. And so like now is the time to try it, right? Try some, maybe book some calls with therapists.
Still closed? Or are some opening? I don't know.
Depends on the state, depends on the gyms in the state. We've got some gyms here that are open, some that are not, at different capacities. So it's just,
yeah.
And some people are comfortable,
Yeah.
If you already are experiencing anxious thoughts and feelings, and then you're going into a classroom setting, in like with other people and like a teacher, and that's going to cause more anxiety in your life, like online. There's so much you can find online.
I mean, I'm biased because it's how I'm doing my business. And if memory serves, that's how you're going to be doing your all online from here on out though, right? Like even after, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
The convenience of it is like, I know that it's not for everybody for different reasons, whether it's like they need the accountability of actually driving to the clinic or the gym, you know, and I respect that. I understand that. No doubt there. But as far as kind of what you're saying is like, now is the time to try it. Like we are, whether you like it or not, being forced to still do a lot of distance stuff, online stuff. COVID isn't going anywhere anytime soon. It doesn't look like, and that's unfortunate. But like, so you're not limited by state. I am, unfortunately, because I think that's a bummer, but like, whatever, that's my own. But like, yeah, do some free phone consults with therapists and ask if they accept your insurance if you want to use insurance. Not everybody does, not everybody will be in your network either, but like do free phone consults as far as not a one size fits all. Do some online yoga classes, like you're saying, check out Allison, check out this person, check out, I don't care. If you do it yourself and wing it, great. If you were eating healthy, if you were, I don't know, doing Tai Chi, like the world is your oyster as far as options. It's just a matter of trying something. And really, we always need to take care of ourselves, but like there's such a skyrocket in anxiety and depression right now, which is understandable because like COVID kind of turned our world and like jumbled it up and like threw it back in our lap. Good luck, have fun. You know, and my heart goes out to all the parents right now and the teachers, and like I do not envy anybody in a leadership position, but it's like, yeah, you need that self-care because we need you. You need to take care of you so that you can take care of others. And there's such a like, no, it's fine. No, I'm serious. Like you need water in your water pitcher so that when your son or your partner or your boss or your parents hold out their cup, you have water to pour into it. And you need to fill your pitcher out. So where the heck are you? I don't care where you go. Just do something because we need you to keep fulfilling yourself. Well, they need you to do that.
I have like goosebumps all over my body. That I think is the most like beautiful and appropriate way to end this.
Perfect.
We need you. So find what works for you.
Yep.
Dr. Rachel, thank you so much. This was wonderful. I will invite you guys, if you have questions for Dr. Rachel, pop them in the comments. And we will also put her website. Again, she's licensed in Minnesota. If you're out of state, I'd encourage you to do some research.
Psychologytoday.com is an awesome resource. You can filter it by state, insurance, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome. We will drop all that information in the comments so that you guys have it. Thank you again, Dr. Rachel.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, people.